What about inheritance? And I know that you have heard so many things about doing injustice to women in terms of inheritance in Islam, right? So, in inheritance, in Islam, a woman even inherits. In Islam, a woman, she inherits. But in many other religions, she is never allowed to inherit. And you can Google that, you can search for that, and you're gonna find so many instances on this. But you may say, okay, they inherit, but why do they inherit half? It's widespread, it's well known that it's very, very common that women inherit half of the share of the property that a male does, right? Or a male inherits. The question is why? Because in Islam, it's the man who bears the financial burden. The financial burden is put on the shoulders of males, of men, or on men in Islam. And that's why before marriage, a woman, she is totally and perfectly and completely supported by her father or her brothers. And after she gets married, it becomes the responsibility of her husband or her son to fully and completely support her. And this is not a theory. This is very, very practical, and this is what happens, what really happens in the Muslim world and among Muslims. But a woman is still, in some cases, entitled to half of that property, half of the share of that property that is received or given to a male brother or something. A woman is given half the share of her brother. This ruling is not without exceptions. Rather, it may be the exception. I know this is gonna surprise you. Because sometimes a woman receives a greater share than that of a man when she is closer in lineage to the deceased. And this is true. And also, sometimes men and women receive equal shares. Maternal brothers and sisters equally share 1/3. So, we have so many cases in Islam in which a woman inherits an equal share to that of a male, and sometimes they inherit and the male do not or doesn't inherit anything. And only in a few cases, maybe 4 or 3 cases only in inheritance in Islam, where the woman inherits half of the share that is received or taken by a male heir. But again, why half share? The size of the responsibility shouldered by each. A man is responsible for starting a family and maintaining its affairs and earning a livelihood, and he is being the natural extension of his family, lineage, and wealth. Whereas a woman, she is completely supported before and after marriage. And her share is to guarantee her self-esteem and dignity in exceptional cases. Imagine that she becomes a widow or she becomes a divorcee. If she has her own property, this is gonna preserve and maintain her self-esteem and dignity in order not to ask anyone for help. She has her own wealth, she has her own property, so and which is maybe sufficient for her because she is not entitled to, she is not asked, she is not obliged to spend on anyone else, only herself. So usually, and also usually a wise wealth grows under the protection of the husband, unlike his, and I say usually, not always. Okay? So, Islamic inheritance system seeks to establish justice in all aspects. Therefore, it considers basics such as degree of relation, size of responsibility, cost of living, amount of benefit an heir has given to the deceased person. All these parameters, all these conditions, all these things are taken into consideration by the Islamic system of or the Islamic inheritance system.